each one of us in the outline actually had a different one in top five that neither one of the other two had in there. So I want to give us a chance to shout off that. So Chase, let's go to you first. You have Devon Achane in your top five, while neither me or Adam do. So why don't you talk about why he cracks your top five this season?
This was tough. This was really tough because, like, I think there are questions with almost everybody in the top 10 of the running backs. And I was giving myself arguments for Ashton Genty, for honestly, even Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs to be here. In the end, I went with Achane because, like I kind of just said with Bijan, of the other running backs in the top 10, we talk about all the time not wanting to draft a guy at his ceiling. I think that there are enough questions with everybody else in the top 10 that you can reasonably say you are drafting everybody else outside of Robinson at their ceiling, other than where Achane is when you're drafting him at cost. Taking every guy in the top 10 at cost is kind of where their ceiling is at for me. And just like Bijan, I don't think we've seen the best of what Achane has to offer. I think that there's more in the tank there. I think that, you know, with the changes that I think are going to have to come to that offense between Tyreek Hill getting older and Jonnu Smith being gone, so now they ostensibly don't really have a tight end because, you know, I'm not going to count on the corpse of Darren Waller. I think that there's enough left on the bone there for Achane that we haven't seen his ceiling yet, and I think it's completely conceivable he cracks up into that top five. So taking him at cost is, I think, one of the better values of the running backs that's going in the first two rounds.
Well, just a quick devil advocate question to that, because we heard Tyreek Hill come out and say in the press conference, and frankly, I had to say Tyreek Hill was not wrong, even though he should not have said that what he said, but basically saying like, hey, how do you get more efficient and keep the chains moving? You take Devon Achane out on third and short or in the red zone and short. He did struggle in that area. He's not a big guy. He's not powerful. It does track that would be the case. Are you worried at all that they're going to look more at Jalen Wright or more at Ollie Gordon in that role and take away some of that usage?
No, I don't worry about it. I think that his talent is there. I like to bet on the talent. I'm not worried about that at all. I think this offense performs better if, and I realize that's a big if because we talked about it last week, putting your chips on the Tua Tagovailoa, to stay healthy is a risk. But I think that this offense can perform better. I think it has to perform better if they're going to keep their jobs around there. And I think Achane has to be a big part of that. So, like I said, in the end, I was willing to bet on him in terms of the value at cost versus everybody else.
Well, I will say if Tua stays healthy, a lot of it will probably be because he's getting the ball out of his hands very quickly, therefore throwing it very short, therefore targeting Devon Achane. I can't argue with it too much there. Adam, you have Derrick Henry in your top four. And to be fair, ADP is in line with Adam here. Neither me nor Chase have him in our top five, but ADP agrees with Adam. So, Adam, why do you see Derrick Henry as a top four running back in half-point PPR?
It's, I guess, kind of similar to Saquon. Like, I just look at all the factors and, like, nothing really changed. Like, you talk about, like, for most running backs, you would think that the carries were a problem. Well, I've thought that about Derrick Henry for 6 years. So at this point, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do because he just kept doing it. He's kept getting the same workload and being healthy through it for 6 years. So, like, what am I supposed to keep docking him for workload, or am I supposed to just assume that he's a freak and he's going to keep doing it? Like, this point, I think he's a freak. Same thing with the age. That at that workload, you'd think he's going to fall off the last 3 years. Guess what? He hasn't done. He got better last year. But so the workload's the same. The touchdowns are the same he's gotten for the last 6. Like, the only thing that really changed last year from the year prior from that is that he went to the Ravens, where they have a good offensive line and Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson's still there. And 4 out of 5 offensive line starters are still there. So, like, it's hard to say that anything of note changed for me. Like, I think he's going to get the workload that he did. I think he's going to, get probably pretty similar efficiency because he's got same offensive lineman. If anything, his center was in, I believe, year 2 going into last year. It's got another year in the NFL, can get a little bit better, and a center who I liked coming out of college. Like, I just don't see anything changing that much. And to your point, in points per game, he was 3rd last year. He played his best ball at the end of the regular season last year. I think had like 350-yard plus games in the last 4. Like, I don't Derrick Henry defies logic in the age sense and the usage sense, and that he's continued to do it. But once he's proven that he defies logic for so long, I feel like eventually I should just trust it. And I'm just going to trust it and leave him for.
Age 30, he averaged 5.9 yards per carry, best of his career. Like, yeah, he's like you said, defying the age barrier. I struggled not putting him in 5.
He turned 31 during the season too. So it's like he's been at 30 for 2 seasons now. So it's like, all right, you were supposed to fall off 4 years ago. Like at this point, you're just, I don't know. I can keep betting on you to fall off and keep letting him wait. And like, there's just no point.
He is the Terminator. He is the Terminator. As our friend Amber would like to say, he's Skynet. That's her nickname for Derrick Henry. He is Skynet. Can't argue with it at all, 100%. And what he has going for him is that Lamar Jackson as a rushing quarterback is not a guy who gets a lot of rushing touchdowns for being a rushing quarterback. Does pave the way for Derrick Henry. Justice Hill was as involved as he possibly could have been, with Henry still doing his thing. The only thing that might be annoying about Henry is maybe in September when they're not trying to ground and pound as much yet. It takes a couple of games to really start getting that full value for him. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not going to bet against them at all, even with the age apex, because there's just no point in doing so. Even though I have him outside my top 5, he is literally my RB6. So it's not like I have him far outside my top 5 either. So the guy I have that neither one of you have inside your top 5 would be Ashton Jeanty, the rookie. Raiders, all about Ashton Jeanty coming in. I actually got him at number 3. I have him 1 spot ahead of Saquon, 2 spots ahead of Christian McCaffrey. It was hard to get to that conclusion because we are talking about a rookie running back. And even when you look at Bijan, well, Bijan had all the hype, I think, as Ashton Jeanty as well. Didn't quite perform as an elite running back. He was still an RB1 his rookie season, but he was not an elite running back like we were hoping for. And it's kind of funny to me because when I look at Chip Kelly and Arthur Smith, I see 2 coaches that I really don't trust. 2 coaches that we knew were going to ground and pound. I think the difference for me is that I do trust Chip Kelly to, 1, not try to feature a Tyler Algier inside the 5 the way Arthur Smith did Bijan Robinson's rookie year, and also 2, have a point to get the running back involved, especially in the screen game with passes, something Arthur Smith did not do with Bijan Robinson. I think that's ultimately the difference here. And when I look at the Raiders offense, while they have Brock Bowers and you have the upgraded quarterback with Geno Smith and you have some competent wide receivers, we'll say at the very, very least, ultimately, I think the weight of the offense is not going to fall on Brock Bowers' shoulders. I think it's going to fall on Ashton Jeanty to keep those chains moving more so than anybody else. So when you look at Chip Kelly and you see LaShawn McCoy was an RB1, elite RB1 his first year, an RB1 his second year. That third year at the Philadelphia Eagles, it turned into a kind of a bit of a mess. There was DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles. Like they kind of got caught in this 3-way split as a team. They were fine running the football and getting running backs involved, but they kind of got this 3-way split thing. It's not going to happen here with the Raiders. And what really makes me super excited about the idea of a running back with Chip Kelly was Carlos Hyde for the 49ers in 2016. Remember when Chip Kelly was the coach for the 49ers? I've tried to block that out, but I did have to look this up today because I remembered it. And Carlos Hyde, he only played 13 games that year, but he would have been on pace for a 1,300-yard season. This is Carlos freaking Hyde we're talking about here. So my point is that this is a system that will feature a running back. He's going to get a bell cow workload. I'm not worried about Raheem Mostert stealing significant touches. I'd be surprised if Mostert was more than 27, tops 30% at most, as far as his carry share goes alongside of Ashton Jeanty. And unlike some of the other guys like Saquon, because of his touches last year, I worry. CMC, I kind of worry. Jahmyr Gibbs has David Montgomery to kind of worry about a little bit. I just don't have the age or the injury concern with a guy like Ashton Jeanty coming in for this year. So that's why he kind of cracks my top 5 there. I don't know if anybody wants to rebuttal to that real quick.
No, like I said, there were a lot of guys that I struggled with. He was one of the names that I wanted in my top 5. So was Henry. There are multiple arguments you can make for almost everybody in that top 10 there, because there are questions with most of them, I think. So, but I think the nice thing about that, knowing that, from the way I see it, is that, okay, I don't have to necessarily worry so much about running back because there's just as many questions here as there are there. I'm just going to take who I'm going to take, and then I'm going to concentrate my efforts, my worries elsewhere.
Okay.